of Brotman, trust me, that's as deep as you need to go on systematic theology. That's more systematic theology than you're going to get in most seminaries. Okay? Easy to understand. Okay, just a lot of information. Alrighty. John Calvin's Institutes of the Christian Religion is a systematic theology and has been greatly expanded upon for use by Michael Horton's The Christian Faith and Systematic Theology for Pilgrims on the Way. That's that big thick one by the Calvin Institutes.
This is John Calvin's. This is,
Yeah, that's
this is the
Horton's.
one we got on our honeymoon.
It is. All right. This systematic theology will determine the interpretive outcomes of a whole generation of pastors. Stop right there. Stop right there. Who's preaching to you? Just think about this. Think about this. Who's preaching to you? A pastor who got his systematic theology from Cambron? Or a guy who's got his systematic theology from Michael Horton? Christians don't even know to ask. Okay? But what there is being fed is, the difference between what they're being fed is huge, and that results in two different outcomes. Okay? Called life. Hello? And Christians don't even know to ask these things. That's got to stop. Alright? What Christian knows the perspective of their pastor's systematic theology? Few, if any. But that's ludicrous. Okay? That's like saying that you've got cancer and it doesn't make any difference whether you go to a medical doctor or a voodoo doctor. I mean, come on. Now, the next point is eschatology is part of this vital biblical system. The study of last things is critical to showing how the Bible all fits together, especially in regard to soteriology. Old Testament and New Testament eschatology fits together for the making of one picture, showing how covenants fit together with God's plan of salvation. A lack of emphasis on eschatology has had a catastrophic effect on the church. To minimize eschatology is to deprive God's people of hope and a wealth of spiritual information. For one, consider that J. Burton Payne's Encyclopedia of Biblical Prophecy, right there, okay?
Very end.
Yeah. That's an important book, okay? That's an important book. He catalogs 737 prophecies that are either fulfilled or reiterated in other texts by different authors writing hundreds of years apart. Eschatology addresses all kinds of issues. The harmony of the Bible, showing how it all fits together. As we have observed here at the Potter's House, eschatology also fits the plan of salvation in regard to judgments and resurrections, as one would expect to be the case. Eschatology is vital for a proper understanding of the Scriptures, absolutely efficacious. In regard to pastors who de-emphasize eschatology, mark them and flee from them. Okay? Any pastor who de-emphasizes eschatology is utterly unfit for the ministry. In regard to the question of the best Bible study software, okay? And before we go on to that, all right, I want to point out two more references. We talked about word studies, all right? This is an interlinear Bible, all right? Now, this has the Hebrew manuscripts that are going to be backwards, the Greek manuscripts, okay? And basically, this is in the King James translation, and you read through, and you can look at the very Greek word that matches up with the passage. Okay? It tells you what English words are just the filler to make it flow, so on and so forth. So, this is what they call an interlinear. It has the English and then the actual Greek text or Hebrew text right beside it. So, but what manuscript is this based on? Alright, that's where you get into the online study, learn about your manuscripts, and then get in this and say, okay, what manuscript is this interlinear based on? Oh, it's based on that one, I don't want it. And you throw it away. Okay. Now, this is an extremely interesting resource. This is Zodhiates, or whatever his name is. Look at this. The Complete Word Study Dictionary of the New Testament. Okay?
I wonder what the Old Testament would be like.
Well, he doesn't do Hebrew. But look, here's what it does. Now look, all your Greek words are numbered by Strong's. Okay? They're numbered. Alright? As we'll look at on the software, they're all numbered. Alright? What he does, he'll take a word. Alright? Now, this would be really hard. See, it's actually, but you go by the number. Alright? So, let's say you want the word in question is 1391. Okay? Well, okay, here's 1391. Alright. Now, look at this. Here's Greek word 1391, right? He writes 1, 2, 3, 4 pages on just that one word. The history of the word, where it's used, how it's used, the different tenses. Okay? Alright. Pretty major, eh? Okay. Now, let's go ahead and answer the question that prompted all this. Bible software. Okay? In regard to the Bible software, you can consider software that has the elements we have discussed in the study. Alright? However, I would recommend Olive Tree online software, and it's very inexpensive. Actually, it's free. Alright? It has the most important feature, a word search engine. It will do a comprehensive English word search, but it will also do a Greek word search. This enables you to see how a Greek word is used in other passages, and I'm going to demonstrate that right now. If you look to the monitor to your right, okay, this is the Olive Tree, and see where my cursor is? Is it on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, now what you do, okay, is see when you move that, it'll go to the passage you want. Now let's go to Luke 10. Alright, give it a minute. Yeah, okay. Now, there's the text. This happens to be the ESV. Alright, and you got to download this separately. If you look over to the left, see the ESV with Strong's? That's what you want. Okay, now watch. Okay, see how I'm hovering over in? Okay, I just click on in and there's the Greek word. Alright, that's not a very exciting word. See same, how I'm hovering, but it's not a link. That's an English word they put in there to make the sentence flow. In the original Greek, that's not in there. But if you go to that, you got the finger pointing again, right? So that's a Greek word. Our is a Greek word. He isn't doing anything, all right? They stuck that in there. Oops, I jumped. So we'll guess. Oop, there we go. Okay. The is not in there. Okay, let's do Holy Spirit. we'll click on Spirit. Okay? There is the Greek word. I clicked on the word Spirit, and you see the Greek word there? All right? Now, here's what's cool. See where it says, but here's the key. It gives you the number. So now if you're really crazy, you can get in your big, thick book there, okay? Now, all right, look, the software that does all of the things that these books does, that software's out there, all right, and it's hundreds of dollars, $900 and $1,000. That's why I use the books. But here's what's key. A lot of people who have Logos software have no clue how to use it. But what they need to understand is it's just the implementation of the same concepts that I've taught about these books. So you need to go into the software and figure out where those study helps are and how to use them on the software. All right? Me, I stick with the Olive Tree software and then use the books. But you can do a lot of cool stuff with this software. So here you have the number of the word, right? All right? You know what words are in there and what words are the English words that were added in, right? That's what the interlinear does. So this software, all the interlinear does is tell you what, the main thing that the interlinear does is tell you what words in the text are English words are added in or the actual Greek words. Because reading in your King James Bible, okay, back in the day when I used to study my Bible, reading in your King James Bible, you don't know which of those words are English words added in to make it flow or actually part of the Greek text. So you had to have an interlinear to go check that out. Is that word an English word or the actual Greek word? But actually, though, this Olive Tree software does away with the interlinear, because the only purpose of the interlinear was to determine what the English words were and the original Greek words. This does it for you. So the interlinear you don't need. But it gives you the number. So now if you're really crazy, you can go to your Greek dictionary. Now, here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing that Zodi Hodis, I think. Now look, there isn't any software out there anywhere that goes in to the separate Greek words to the depth that that book does, okay? So that's where the basic software in that book work together for really anything better than you can get. Now you can go through there and find word 4151, okay? And there's probably 7 or 8 pages on the history of the word, where it came from, where it's used, how it's used, so on, the tense, the Greek tense and the way it's being used in that passage, so on and so forth, okay? Here's what's really cool. Go down to the bottom of the screen. See where that box is up? Watch this. We can now search for everywhere that Greek word is in the New Testament. So we click on that. See it searching? Okay? It's in the ESV 344 times. Okay, now, if you click on that, okay, if you click on that, it gives you everywhere in the New Testament that word is, and you can go through now and see how that word is used in all of the other New Testament books. Okay? And that goes a long way. And of course, you can do the same thing with the Hebrew. All right? Now, here's another thing you can do, okay? That's kind of tricky. You can get in your concordance, and you can pick an English word. Remember, we're using the Hebrew and Greek scholars. We've got hundreds of years of scholars and hundreds of hundreds and thousands of years of study all being just thrown on our lap. What you can do is you can get in your English concordance, okay, and in the Strong's English Concordance, and take an English word and see where that English word is in the Hebrew all the way through to the New Testament. Well, what that's telling you is what Greek words they used for the Hebrew words. All right? So you can actually study the transitions of words between the Testaments. Okay? Because when those scholars, they were translating from the Hebrew to English and from the Greek to English. So they thought that Hebrew word was the best English word, and they also thought the best Greek word for the same English word was that Greek word. Now you can go back and see what those words meant in Hebrew, get into that book. There's also books that do the same thing that book do for the Hebrew. All right, I don't know if it does it, or does rather, to the extent that that book does. But you can see where we have a lot of valuable tools to our resources, and we are not enslaved to listen to every load of turnips that comes down the pike on Sunday morning and believe it. All right, so any questions on that? All right, that's the use of that software there. Now, let me see.
Don't forget Google.
Yeah, and I went through all this. And don't forget Google. Google is an extremely powerful search engine. It is also virtual world knowledge connected to virtual mind. What do I mean by that? If you want to recall something you read in the Bible several years ago, but you don't remember where it is in the Bible or even the exact wording, all you have to do is Google the fragment or the idea, and link to an article about it will appear. A wealth of information regarding any subject can be called up in seconds. And thoughts such as, I wonder if the Bible talks about that, can be answered in seconds. Merely Google the thought and a vast amount of information will appear. I am convinced that the final form of the final kingdom that will rule the earth in the last days has feet of iron mixed with clay because of the information age. I'm convinced of that. Tyranny is only effective to the degree that it can control information. This is why, listen, young man, okay? This is why our founding fathers were pro-education and information. This is why they proliferated information of all kinds with aggressive intentionality. It's what keeps people free, okay? You might as well be enslaved. If you're smart, they can chain you up and make you do what they want you to do, or you can just be so dumb and uneducated that you'll believe anything they tell you. Okay? Tyranny is, I write here, the dumbing down of America is no accident. All right? It is the road to tyranny. What is happening in the schools, in the public schools, is a road to tyranny. All right? Tyranny and dictatorships always start with dumbing down the population. De-emphasizing the need to think. The dumbing down of the Protestant church is no accident either. It has always been predicated on tyranny and always will be unless Christians take back our Bible. All right? Now, if you look over your screen, and I'll close with this final point. All right? On this study that I did, Google saved me so much time. All right? So, you know, for instance, okay, for instance, I'm going to bring up Google. I couldn't remember where that verse in Hosea was, or that it was even in Hosea. My people die for lack of knowledge. Couldn't remember where it was. Now, what I used to have to do is get that big old thick concordance, all right, and, okay, my people die. So then you would have to, you look up die, or people, all right? And, okay, I know it's in the Old Testament, all right? So you got the ruler out, and you're like going line by line looking for that verse. That's why that thing's so worn out, all right? What do we do today? Okay, we Google, my people die for lack of knowledge. That's all we do. Okay? There it is right there. First hit. See that? It's in Hosea 4:6. All right? That was easy. But yeah. So Google is pretty much done away with the need for concordances. All right? But out of all of those Bible study books, again, Adams's stuff, all right, good stuff, you know, one of the few parabiblical material worth reading, all right. The Zodi Hodis book, definitely not. Nothing, I don't think, can replace that. The systematic theology books, all right, better than anything you're going to find on the internet. Nave's Topical Bible, yes, definitely. Okay, it's objective. A lot of stuff that you find, oh, well, I'll just Google it, Paul. I'll just Google the top. Man, you're going to get all kinds of stuff. And you're going to have to weed through and discern it. Nave's Topical Bible is objective. Okay? Any questions? All right. Well, that completes the study. Thanks for your attention.
This young man needs gold medal. You sat through